Hi, my name is McKenna Morales, and I am the Associate Editor with the Facilities Market. I recently talked with Danielle J. Floyd, the Director of Public Works for the County of Delaware in Pennsylvania, on how she continues to put her whole self into her career and a few life lessons that she has learned along the way. Here's just a quick segment of our chat. How have you brought your whole self to your career, and what skills from other disciplines or interests have served you well during this time?
One of the things that a dear friend of mine said was, one of the ways to sort of thrive in this industry is to know just enough about a lot of different things. And so
Yeah,
I've kind
yeah.
of carried that forward in a lot of the things that I've done. But I think around some of the specific skills, definitely collaboration and teamwork, especially in a space around design and construction. I rely on my colleagues who I look at subject matter experts from a program definition, from being able to define a program and define their needs and be able to engage in conversations to talk about that and to talk about how can we provide services better than what we're doing now. I used to be a rugby player, and you don't score a goal alone. It's very much a team effort. And so that is definitely something for me, I think is the sort of a baseline skill set that it really truly is, especially in the space, in the design and construction space. It absolutely is a team effort. Um, I think one of the other things, I took a break from working in the facility space for a while and worked in the hospitality industry.
Mm,
And, one of the things that is consistently the consistent focus is always on the customer and the
right.
customer experience, right? And being able to make sure you have that perspective in mind. And so now being here in the county and thinking about how we can improve the services that we're providing to residents, um, and using infrastructure as a way to facilitate that. How can we prevent people having to physically have to drive somewhere in order to do something, or when they come, it's it's one-stop shopping. It's very easy. It's easy to engage. It's not difficult, because I think at the end of the day that builds trust.
Mhm.
Ultimately, I also would say that one of the things that we were encouraged, at least in the space where I worked in hospitality, was to remain inquisitive. And so I do think it's important that as women that we're not afraid to ask questions and to question why the method, why are we doing this? And to consistently remind people and make sure that there's consensus or agreement about the why around what it is that we're doing. Um, Certainly the ability to multitask. No day is the same day.
Mhm.
For sure. And I think my work both in education and also in the hospitality space, when you show up, you just sometimes you can predict a little bit of what your day is going to look like, but in other times it's something could happen and you got to be able to think on your feet and be able to respond right away and be able to communicate that out. Um, I would also say in the education space as well, one of the things that I carried into this role was um, being motivated and committed to a purpose bigger than yourself. And so when you're working on behalf of other people's children and
Mhm.
being having to manage a portfolio of facilities where children are coming in to learn every day and teachers and principals are coming in to provide instruction, you don't go into that just you don't go into it for the money. Some people do, but you really are thinking about um, what the educational experience for a child is going to be and how you are contributing to that. And then I would say finally, um, huge into travel and a big solo traveler. But I think one of the things that I take from that experience is being comfortable engaging with diverse audiences and being able to just strike up interesting conversations with interesting people, because everybody's got very interesting stories, and I think sometimes you have to find different strategies in order to pull out what it is you need to know to push a
Mhm.
project forward, and being able to ask probing questions. And I definitely think over the last couple of years, just putting myself in countries and spaces that were completely unfamiliar, it kind of forces you to have to do that. But that's completely transferable to working in facilities management, because often we got a diverse set of customers that we are
Mhm.
that we're trying to satisfy. And sometimes they don't know how to best articulate what it is that they're looking for. And so being able to engage and ask questions and be able to find those commonalities to get to that point, I found to be very useful.
Right. And especially being in an uncomfortable situation, like when you're traveling alone, it's nice to be able to know what questions to ask too. And I think oftentimes that is what scares people from trying anything new too.
Absolutely. Yeah. And sometimes I think a lot of it is it's all in our heads that we think something we've already predicted what the outcome is going to be, and it tends to be the worst outcome possible.
Right.
And that's not always the case. And so it's the reason why we kind of you don't push ourselves, we don't challenge ourselves, we don't put ourselves in those areas because we're always predicting the worst. And so
Right.
yeah, every so often I gotta mix it up and just be in a space that is completely unfamiliar and figure it out. But that served me well, especially coming here to the county.
Hmm. It's especially because you're constantly doing something new, it seems like every day.
Yes, I would say coming from managing a portfolio of 300 buildings that were schools,
Mhm.
primarily bus depots, garages, to now the very diverse portfolio of facilities that the county manages, that at the end of the day, um, there's a lot of things that were very transferable. You know, for me, it's like when you have a good program and you can define your program really well, then that allows my team and allows the consultant that we engage to be able to deliver the best product on their behalf. Um, and so I didn't know a thing about prisons until
Right.
11 months ago. I didn't know anything about medical examiners' offices until 11 months ago, senior living facilities. But really, honestly, there are some things that my experience in the school sector completely allowed me to sort of move forward because I'd done construction. You build schools. There are things that absolutely will transfer when you're working on projects for other types of facilities.